If you're watching this video, the chances are you're interested in playing career mode but don't quite know where to start. Well, that's ideal because today I'm sharing some of the best tips that I've learned from 20 years of playing career mode, plus some things I wish I knew when I started playing back on FIFA 04. I know that these tips work because I've spent the last few weeks teaching my fiance how to be good at this game, and she's almost as good as me now. We'll start off by looking at how to pick the right team, how to set up a youth academy and how to make good transfers, and finish off with some more general tips that are super important to know. So let's get started. Let's run through everything you should be doing on day one of a save, starting with picking and managing your first squad. It's hard to start a career mode save without actually picking a club. In fact, it's not even possible. If this is your first ever save, I think you should keep it very simple. Pick a club that you know inside out. This means you don't have to learn the strengths and the weaknesses of your squad, because even though EA aren't a perfect company, they do usually get player stats mostly correct. If you're feeling a little bit more confident, of course you can pick any team on the game with no restrictions. If you want ideas, check out the save idea playlist that I've got on my channel page. As a general rule of thumb, bigger clubs are usually easier to win matches with but have harder season-long objectives. So by now you should probably have picked your team, so let's try and figure out what tactics would make the most sense. Because FC25 uses real life tactics for every team, the ones that you start off with usually make the most sense for your squad in real life. But in FIFA things are different. If you have a look at the average overall rating of your squad, you can usually figure out what you want to do. For example, if you have more than 2 good centre backs, you should probably be starting with a 3 defender formation. If you realise that you're actually weak in defence, then try and fill the midfield with as many starting players as you can and as little defenders as you can. So this could be a 4-2-3-1 which has 5 midfielders, 1 striker and 4 defenders. Wingers are really common in the back 4, while a back 3 can use wide centre backs or attacking midfielders. Wingbacks and wingers are more suitable for pressing, while fullbacks and wide midfielders are better for possession. By looking at your squad, you can probably figure out how to sort out your defence and what you want on the wings. So now it's time to fill the strikers and midfielder spots with everyone you have left. This might be a 4-4-2, you might prefer to go for a 3-5-2, 3-4-3, any of these formations are totally fine to use. If you fancy just copying an existing manager's tactics instead, you can actually import a share code on FC25. You could use a website like FC Tactic Database, which is the database I made full of share codes, or you can check out Footbin or foot.gg. They both have a ton of new tactics that you can try. By now you might have noticed that your squad has younger players who aren't quite as good as your strongest team, but these players are some of the most useful ones to have in career mode. If you're moving from Ultimate Team to career mode, or maybe a mobile app into career mode, then you might not be used to having to rotate your players to keep them sharp and happy, which of course is how real life football works. If you give younger players time and easier matches, eventually they will grow and become your best players. I think it's also important to know that every player has a set potential. This could be in the 60s, it could be in the 90s, but the better you perform when you use them, the better they can actually become. Really, there is no limits, and this feature is called dynamic potential. So if you find a young player that you really enjoy using, you can make them better than Messi or Ronaldo ever were, or competing for Ballon d'Ors with Haaland and Mbappe. I think every career mode veteran will agree that it is actually important to always be thinking 1 or 2 seasons ahead of where you are, because before you even advance the first day, you should probably be deciding what the goals of your career mode are going to be. I think there's 4 standard types of save that people like to try. You can do youth focused, where people have been able to win the Champions League using only players from their academy, and I'll talk about the academy in just a second, but alternatively, depending on your starting team, you could do something called a road to glory. This kind of save usually starts in one of the lower leagues, usually in Germany or England, with the goal of playing in the first division. Later in your career, you could even change to become a journeyman, where the save is all about using the job offer feature to move around the world managing different clubs. If you're not feeling any of these, then you can just see what happens. That's perfectly okay to do. You don't need to make a plan before you start your save. Okay, so now we have our tactics set up. Before we progress the in-game date, it's time to create a youth academy. This is super easy to do. Head over to the youth scouts section here, buy up to 3 youth scouts and send them to different countries. If you have played a career mode in the past, you might notice there's way more nations for you to scout now, and that was actually one of FC25's biggest features. Anyway, there is only one thing you need to know about the scouts. Having a high judgment rating will bring back better players, while having a high experience rating will bring back more players. The academy can be super overpowered, so if you want to make sure your players are going to develop to reach their potentials, try following these 4 tips. I would recommend hiring the best coaches, because with enough 5-star coaches, young players will get the highest development boost. The bar in development plans shows how long it will take a player to improve by 1 overall. So if your player has enough potential, the bar will show how long it will take for them to grow, and they can grow by 8 to 12 overall per year if you're getting things spot on. If you want your player to grow even faster, give your younger players a lot of game time. If a player is in good form, they also get a development boost, so they also improve faster. Coming from Ultimate Team, this might seem strange, but sometimes you should be running a weaker squad rather than your 11 best players, just to improve how good your squad can be in the future. I'd also recommend you look for young cheap players on the transfer and loan list. Not only do they develop and play for your team, but even if you don't like using the young player, you'll usually be able to sell them for a lot more money than you paid if you can increase their overall by 2 or 3 points. Finally, as I said earlier, the Youth Academy can be used to make elite players. It's super easy to fill your academy with 90 potential players who will usually reach that overall rating. So just make sure you're taking advantage by having the best scouts that you can afford and looking for the best players in the best countries. Okay, now our tactic and Youth Academy are set up and ready to go. We can finally progress the date, and in your first month, there's 3 things you really need to know. First thing is that pre-season is the perfect time to experiment with difficulty and changing your squad around. Compared to other games and even other modes in FC25, career mode is a bit different when it comes to difficulty. Ultimate Team's Ultimate is much harder than career mode's Ultimate, and career mode is more fun when it is a bit of a challenge. Make sure you aren't winning or losing 9-0 every week by messing around with the difficulty in pre-season. There's no shame from moving from professional to semi-pro or ultimate down to world class. Even if your difficulty is correct, you shouldn't be expecting to win every game either. Another little tip, restarting matches when something unfair happens will also make the game get pretty boring. Since I stopped restarting games about 5-10 years ago, I had a lot more fun accepting close defeats, and when I do win leagues or cups, it actually feels like real success. If you're finding the game slightly too tough, also you can consider using sliders to fine-tune the AI difficulty. They can slightly offer the gameplay and provide an in-between difficulty if the jump up to the next level is too much. If you just search FC25 gameplay sliders, you'll find a bunch of options that either try to be really realistic or just try and make the game more fun. This year we also have simulation gameplay, which is slower already in the game and more fun than any sliders, at least in my opinion. Okay, so let's finish this video off with some more general advice. So the first bit of advice is making sure you save regularly. You can now use checkpoints this year, which let you move backwards and forwards in time throughout the same save file, which is really cool. And this can help you if you make a mistake with transfers or scouting, because you can just fix your mistake once you realize they happen. This means you don't have to keep restarting saves and get bored of career mode that way. Make sure you also read any help tips that pop up, because they do give pretty good visual information that can't be found anywhere else, and I think it's important to know that no matter how badly your first save goes, you'll never get a big pop-up saying game over. You'll always get offers from lower overall teams, and this is your chance to build your way back up and prove to your old club that they were wrong for firing you on your first go. Hopefully you now know how to pick your team, set up your academy, keep the save fun and realistic, but if you don't or you want more tips, then check out the playlist on screen right now where you can watch some more of my videos with some more advanced level tips. But thank you for watching this video. Leave any tips that you find throughout your journey in the comments below, and if you're watching this video as a more experienced user, then help me out and help everyone else out watching this video by leaving your best tips there too. But thanks for watching, really do appreciate it. Cheers and goodbye.